Namaste and welcome to Namaste Tokyo, a very special program celebrating Olympics, celebrating India in Olympics. After all the wait and speculations and uncertainties, Tokyo 2020 is finally here. Yes, right at our doorstep. And we are impatiently waiting to see how our athletes fare in Tokyo. And in this special program, an India-centric program, this is what our first segment is going to be. So let's slip into our first segment, India in Tokyo. Almost every Indian athlete in that Olympic village will be feeling the pressure. But I'm afraid a few will be feeling the pressure a little more than the others. So in this segment, we are talking about the medal hopefuls. Whom do we start with? A pretty tough choice to make, but I have decided to start with somebody who weighs 49 kgs and easily lifts 4 times her body weight, literally. But this time she will be lifting the collective dreams and hopes and aspirations of 1.3 billion people. Yes, I am talking about the one and only Saikom Mirabai Chanu. The lady from Imphal in Manipur. 2017 World Championship was a turning point in her career. Once she won a medal there are a lot of expectations on her. And she's going to be a lone ranger. Let's see what she can do. Let's pray and hope that she returns with a medal around the neck, which will be the second Indian medal in weightlifting, the second woman to do that after Kanna Malleshwari in 2000 Sydney. Let's wish her all the best. And now it's time for my favorite segment. I'm sure you are waiting for it too. Let's go across and meet the champion. Today with me, the man doesn't need any introduction. He has been an enigma. He has been one of the proudest sons of Indian sport. Somebody who has been entertaining us for more than 3 decades. He is none other than Leander Paes. Leander, namaste and a warm welcome to Namaste Tokyo. What a pleasure.
Namaste, my friend. Thank you so much for having me.
1996 Atlanta, you were 23 years of age. India was deprived of a medal. 3 Olympics went without India having a sniff at a medal, barring PT Usha's near miss in 1984. And you brought enormous joy to a country with such a population. And the first time I believed that India can win a medal. So what was it like? I mean, could you take me through that entire thing of winning a medal in 1996 in Atlanta?
Thank you for your belief in me. Not many others in our country did. But for me, I never ever doubted that I could win a medal. I grew up in a family that my mom captained India in basketball. My dad won a bronze medal in '72 in Munich in field hockey. And it was just a matter of getting the right team around me and persevering for 10,000 hours, 3 million repetitions. That's what builds muscle memory. That's how champions are made. And in that, I got Dave Herman around me, my fitness trainer, who trained me now for the last 26 years. I had Sanjay Singh around me, looking after my physiotherapy, my stretching, my yoga, my breathing. I had my father, who was my doctor. And then I had Bob Carmichael around me, who honed the skills of my tennis. So it was just a matter of time. But I feel very blessed to have been able to emulate my father and win a medal at the Olympics in Atlanta.
And I want to ask you something regarding this. I've heard that it's a medal ceremony. You are at the podium. You have Andre Agassi in the middle, Sergei Bruguera on the other side, and you have a Leander Paes here. And all he was thinking was, well, now I deserve to sit with my father comfortably at the dinner table. I mean, is it true that you had that feeling when the national anthem was being played?
My father and myself had a running joke that I couldn't sit at the dining table with him until I coveted my Olympic medal. And that was just a joke, but Dad used to use that in terms of getting me to work harder to try and covet that medal. So once I did, and I walked over to him as soon as I won my medal, and I gave him a hug, and he said, "I'm so proud of you." And I said, "Yeah, but I can sit with you from now on at dinner table."
In one way, when you look at it, Leander is a product of serendipity, because not everyone is lucky enough to be born in a family where there's sports in the family. But did that also mean that there was some pressure on you, because your mother captained India in basketball, your father an Olympian and a bronze medal winner in hockey in 1972? Did that put any pressure on you per se, or was it a very enjoyable thing all along?
Pressure is a very funny thing. Yes, there's tremendous pressure on all of us every day, right? We live in a community where we're expected to get 100% in mathematics, and we're expected to get A's in all our report cards. We're expected to win every match that we play. We're expected to be perfect, So there's pressure on all of us every day, right? And that being said, it's how you handle the pressure. I've done many, many, many hours of mental toughness training. I've done many hours of visualization, a lot of yoga, a lot of breathing, a lot of practice to control my heart rate or to control my breathing that helps me control my heart rate. But I think if you're trained to handle pressure, then you don't feel it. I also think that some of us are born where we understand the stresses and the pressures around us, but we choose not to take it on our shoulders. We choose to concentrate on our craft. We choose to concentrate on the path that would take us to get to winning an Olympic medal, or the path that would take us to get to achieving success. And I think the journey is more important than the wins or the losses, because I have lost 76.3% of every match I've played in my career, but I've just been able to win at the right times, and hence done what I've done.
Wonderful. And I want to ask you this. Till 1996, a tennis player getting into the Olympics, playing Olympics, if he gets into the semi-final, is assured of a medal. But in 1996, is an aberration. From since then, there has to be a match between the losers of the semi-final. But even before that, you made a statement, and it's a statement for a 23-year-old. I was really aghast. I mean, we want a medal badly, and you come up and say, no, there has to be a match between the two guys who lose in the semi-finals, and the winner should get the bronze medal. I mean, what made you say that?
You're very sweet for recognizing all these stats on me and then knowing the stats. But, I think that when you play professional sport, there are no draws. When you play in the Olympics now, and 1996 was the first year that this changed, that there was a playoff match for the bronze medal.
Right.
It's just not that you got to a semi-final, so hence there were 2 bronze medals given.
Right.
In any other discipline in the Olympics, there's 1 gold, 1 silver, and 1 bronze. Yeah. So hence I felt that that's the way it should be as well in tennis.
It should be.
And I kind of was kicking myself after I said that, because Andre Agassi injured my wrist severely in the semi-final match, and I would have gladly taken that bronze without having to play. But I had to kind of suck it up and come back 48 hours later after a day off after losing to Andre Agassi in the semi-finals and play one of my best friends, Fernando Melangeni. Right. And if you look at clips of that match, the bronze medal match in Atlanta, if you look at pictures, you'll see that my right wrist is severely taped underneath my wristband. I tried to hide the taping with my wristband, but didn't do a great job of that. But my right wrist was severely injured coming into that match. And even the physiotherapist and the doctors, Dougie Spreen, who was there, said that I was taking a huge risk in playing in this match. I was going to jeopardize the rest of my career. But I think some decisions that you make are very calculated and very conscientious. And I think as a professional athlete, for me, the greatest thing was to win a medal for our people. We got 1 billion people in our country, and I wanted to be that first individual medal winner for India after Mr. Yadav had won it in wrestling. So sometimes it's all about risk and reward and balancing those two. But the reward was so much larger than the risk I took, that even if I did not get to play another match after winning my medal, I was okay with that. Because that's how much it means to me to play for India, especially growing up in my family.
Well, thank you so much for doing that, because you ended a wait for 44 years after Mr. Yadav did that in 1952. And when you lost the first set to Fernando in that match, playoff match, what was going through your mind? How did you egg yourself on to come back? Obviously, you don't really need a motivation, because you're always motivated playing for the country. But after going down in the first set, did you have that fear, maybe that it's not going your way? What was your because a lot of youngsters might be interested, because we Indians have this habit of getting into winning positions and losing. But here is a person who's going to win a medal after so long for India, lost the first set, and then you came back and won it.
I believe that winning and losing is between the 2 temples. I think that fitness is a prerequisite. Supreme mental toughness is a prerequisite in our sport, as professional as tennis. I think that technique, forehands and backhands and serves and returns, is also a prerequisite. And you see so many different techniques, being an individual sport like tennis, you see some serve and volleyers, you see some baseliners, you see some people that can do both. But I also feel that some matches are won on sheer heart. Some matches are all about mind over matter. And after I lost that first set to Melangeni, I knew that I was in trouble. My wrist was injured. I'd lost the first set. Melangeni was in the driver's seat. And I had a few tricks up my sleeve still, and I was able to use them and turn that match around. And I remember that all the Indians in the stadium at Stone Mountain in Atlanta really helped me a lot. They were out there with their war paint and the tiranga on their cheeks, and their shirts were all the India blue. And they had a dhol player in there that was getting the whole stadium rattled up. And for me to play in front of a packed stadium, it's not difficult to get motivated. For me to play for our flag is not difficult to get motivated at all. But when you have a sense of responsibility to play for 1.3 billion people, and you're playing for a cause that's greater than yourself, always brings out the best of me. And I don't know how to articulate it more than that, because my sense of responsibility and patriotism is very, very large. It runs very deep in our family. So for me to go out there, and whether it was an injured wrist, or whether it was my backhand wasn't working, or whether it was a player that was playing great on the day, it didn't matter. I've beaten some great players in Davis Cup. I've beaten some great players in the Asian Games and in the Olympics. And to come out there and protect their injury, and to find a way to beat Melangeni was just mind over matter. And I was very grateful that I had enough time that day to turn the match around. Because sometimes you run out of time, you know. Sometimes you're trying plan A, plan B, plan C, all the way to Z, but maybe you run out of time because your opponent's too good on the day. But that day I was able to turn it around, and that's a match that will always be etched in my memory, because it wasn't great tennis that day. It was pure heart. That's all it was.
All I can say is just wow, and a big thank you for that. And I also want to ask you, there's some Indian newspapers reported that you almost caused an upset before that against Agassi. And is it true that he came to you and said he offered a practice? He invited you to the US and be with him for practice and all. Is it true that Agassi sent you a special invite to practice?
Andre is a good friend. He's a really wonderful human being, and the Andre that I know is one of the nicest human beings you'll meet on the planet. He's a champion of life. And why I say that is because his sense of loyalty, his sense of respect and reverence, his sense of camaraderie goes large. It's really, really big. And I've had many sessions with Andre in communication and talking tennis and talking expertise of how to elongate one's career and play a long career. And I've had some wonderful partners in my life, like Martina Navratilova, Martina Hingis, who had great careers and long careers. And the conversations with such great players in the world and having them as your friends is really special. Especially when you grow up in Kolkata and you play gully cricket and gully football barefoot. And you've watched all these heroes play on black and white TV on Doordarshan back in the day. And you watch them win some great matches against Chris Evert-Lloyd and Steffi Graf. And you watch Borg and McEnroe battle out the 81 final. But then when you do turn professional and you do get to play at the All England club and you share the locker room with them in centre court, it's quite a heady feeling. It's a very humbling feeling. And then if you observe them well enough, you can pick up a trick or two on how you can etch your own history in our sport of tennis.
Right. Leander, if you look at tennis, and in many ways, it's a very individual sport. But there's one time when Harsha Bhogle said that Leander should be the 12th man in Indian cricket team as well. The point is, you have had massive success, 18 Grand Slams. And there was a time as a singles player, you were a giant killer. I can think of Jeremy Bates, Jan Simmering, Wayne Ferreira, Thomas Enquist, Goran Ivanisevic, Pete Sampras. But most of those big upsets came either in Davis Cup or tournaments like or events like the Olympics. So what is that kind of magic which Tricolor had on you? We're all patriotic, but you seem to be a few notches higher. You seem to have that spirit which is rarely seen.
That's a great question. For one, I think Harsha is really kind, and I would very gladly be the 12th man on the Indian cricket team, because I have so much reverence and respect for what the cricket boys have done through the generations, right from the 80s in '83 when we won the World Cup, and Kapil Paji was the captain, and Sunny Sir was our opening bat, and he played without the helmet against a very formidable West Indian attack, which is daunting to say the least, even if you're reading it or watching it on TV, let alone out there in the oval or in the pitch to take stance to their batting. Or even if you look at the great captains that we've had, Saurabh Ganguly, MS Dhoni, Virat Kohli, I have so much respect for these guys for handling the pressure of being a captain of the Indian cricket team that I would very gladly be the 12th man and the water boy for them. But that being said, I feel like, when you're playing an opponent on the other side of the net, they're also just another human being. Maybe they have a better serve than you. Maybe they're taller than you. Maybe they have more power than you, or they maybe have a little more endurance than you. But I also feel that for me to prove that we Indians were not just submissive or not just cow down to pressure was very important, especially as an individual athlete. I grew up in team sport. I grew up being a football player because obviously having Bengali genes and Portuguese genes from Goa. My father's from Goa, my mom's from Kolkata. So having those genes, I was a huge football player. Barcelona and Lionel Messi have always been my two favorite teams and players in the world, let alone Cristiano, just for his sheer perseverance. But I grew up watching team sport. I grew up playing team sport, but unfortunately for me, football would not have taken me to the Olympics in the 80s, would not have taken me to the World Cup in the 90s. So hence I had to switch sport. And really my story is not just about talent. It's not just about hard work and perseverance and a tremendous belief in yourself. But my story is about how a young kid from Kolkata with two exceptional parents and a phenomenal team can pivot to achieve your dreams. I think that when you grow up in a country like India, which does not necessarily have the greatest know-how or knowledge on how to build world champions, I think you have to keep pivoting and redesign your environment. Maybe sometimes get an Australian coach, maybe get an American fitness trainer, maybe get an Asian Tai Chi or mental toughness trainer, or maybe get an Indian yoga master. For me, I think that when you look at world knowledge, you got to put the best team together. And yet you got to use your Indian passion, your Indian history and your passion to prove that we Indians can be world beaters. So I'm a patriot through and through. And if I see another German or American or Chinese person on the other side of the net, that's just another human being that's like a gladiator taking each other on, one-on-one.
We'll take a slight digression for a few seconds here. There's a compulsive quizzer in me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a rapid fire, just 3 questions, all about you and Olympics. And we have 15 seconds. So each question has 5 seconds. Ready?
Wow.
Must be a cake.
Pressure's on. I feel more pressure here than at Wimbledon.
I like that. I like that. I like the spirit. So the scoreline against Agassi. Do you remember the scoreline against Agassi?
6-7. This is at the Olympics, right, in Atlanta?
Yes, absolutely.
6-7, 3-6.
You can afford to pump your face once. That's typical Leander Paes. You got it right. You're doubtful, but it's absolutely
Thank God
right.
you didn't ask me the tiebreak score. I think it was 6-8 or something, or 7-9 or something.
Right. And my second question is, whom did you beat in the 3rd round of the Olympics?
First round was Richard Renneberg. Second round was Nicolas Pereira, one of my best friends. Third round was Thomas Enquist.
The 3rd seeded Thomas Enquist is the right answer. Absolutely. Why do you have a doubt? It's right. Oh, come on. I mean,
I wasn't sure if it was Renzo Furlan. I think Renzo was in the quarterfinals. I'm not
in the quarterfinals. Italian was in the quarterfinals. So yeah, and in the final one, of course. You remember the date when this happened?
Oh, come on.
I'm talking about the bronze medal match against Fernando Meligeni.
No, I don't, man. I've been lucky to have some amazing days in my career, and I'm very blessed for that. But I don't remember the date. It must have been, I'm guessing, I'm just guessing. I don't know.
The 3rd of August, 1996 it was. And
I would have got so wrong. I was going July.
you got 2 out of 3. That's a pretty good one.
I shall promise not to forget that date now. 3rd of August, 1996, etched in my brain.
Wonderful. That is And let's get back to Olympics a bit. And India and Olympics, we're celebrating India. It's a very tough time for all of us. And one medal in tennis so far. Do you think we have the resources to probably win more when you look back at India's performance? Because tennis, okay, Ramesh and you missed out on a medal in 1992. And if I can, have the liberty to say, it was fire and ice, a perfect combination. I still remember Fridges in France, where Henry Leconte and Arnaud Bosch, they didn't stand a chance against you, basically. But then you could not translate. It was after the Olympics, in fact. In 1996, he was not going to be there. So you are the only medalist. After that, I mean, we have the resources. You feel we could have probably won a few more medals in this event?
Ramesh and myself came really close in 92 to win a medal. And we were playing in the quarterfinal match. And back in 92, when you did get to the semifinals, you were already confirmed for a medal because they had 2 bronze medals in that event, 1 silver and 1 gold, but we missed out. And I'm really proud to have been India's first individual medal in tennis. And I feel that it's going to be a little while before we win another medal in tennis, because I feel that the competition in our sport, both on the men's game and the women's game, is so fierce that the physical fitness, the mental toughness that it takes, let alone by the tennis technique that it takes, I feel that it's going to take a while to build another Olympic champion in tennis. And really, it is about building a champion. It's not just about wishing on a prayer or hoping that someone comes around and is going to win it. I can speak from my own experience that it takes a whole lifetime of perseverance and learning and knowledge and belief and hard work every day, 4:30 morning wake-up calls and persevering every day to try and covet a medal in the Olympics. And that's why not everybody can be Olympic champions. You look at a Mary Kom, you look at a P.V. Sindhu, you look at a Sushil Kumar, you look at Chili Rathore, you look at Gagan and Abhinav Bindra. I mean, these guys have slogged and sweated and bled their whole lives as patriots to win a medal for our country. And I have tremendous respect for all of them and all the other champions that have won an Olympic medal. But I think in tennis, it's going to take a little while, Champ. I think it's going to be a couple of years before we really build another Olympic champion.
All right. So there are 2 things I want to ask you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to combine both. 3 decades, you had your share of challenges, 7 Olympics. Your longevity is something, you're a great reference point for that. I mean, in any profession, mid-30s, it's considered relatively young, but in sport, the moment is cricket or tennis, whatever it is, the moment somebody is approaching that mark, we talk about retirement. But you have been such a great reference point, a great source of inspiration. Physically, you have been in great shape. But I want to ask you about the mental aspect. How does Leander get that motivation to go on even after achieving so much? And also, there was a career-threatening, I will not say life-threatening, but career-threatening illness that you have to fight as well. A lot of people give in and give up. So what kept you going and what keeps you going?
I don't think I know how to spell give in, and I certainly don't know how to spell give up. Those are not in my vocabulary. In fact, if you laugh at me when I say I'm going to win Wimbledon next year, that would be fire within my belly. If you ridicule a dream that I have, it's just going to push me even harder to get it. And I think that part of being a champion is also being a rebel. Part of being a little mad also is to play a career and continue playing when you're 47, 40 years old. But I have that knowledge. I mean, I was born into that knowledge in this family, you see. Not only were my parents great athletes and great champions in their respective sport, but my father's a doctor of sports medicine. He's worked with BCCI for years. He's worked with the Asian Cricket Council. He's done the hockey Olympics and World Championships and worked with the hockey team for many, many, many years. I mean, almost 3 or 4 decades. And he's worked with football. So hence, Dad's knowledge of sports science and about living a clean, healthy life and about injury prevention and about diet and fitness and sleep and pulse and fat fold percentage and remodeling your training systems. I could sit here and talk for days. And that is why I'm capsuling and capturing all of my father's 6 decades of knowledge to eventually share that with every single young kid on this planet. Right. So that they can have a good, healthy life and they can be champions in their own right, and they can feed off the knowledge that I fed off being from my family of champions. And I think that to build a curriculum of sports education is really my next innings, and it's my dream. And that's what I'm well on my way of. And I think that to empower every young male and female child on the planet to live a healthy life and live a clean life and set an environment that they can be champions in their own right in any field is a responsibility that I have. So that's my next innings. And I'm not surprised that I continue to reinvent my training systems. I have that knowledge, so I'm going to take advantage of it.
Wonderful. And finally, the Indian contingent is in Tokyo. We are hopeful, and not been great. It was postponed by a year. Some people might have benefited. Most people found it difficult to have the motivation to train. What would be your typical Leander message to the athletes out there fighting for the country?
I'm very interested to see how the world records and the Olympic records are beating this Olympics, because the athletes have had a very tough time in preparation for the Olympics. The original Olympics was supposed to be in the summer of 2020, and every athlete who's so scientific in their training has modeled their training to peak in the summer of 2020. So when it got postponed a year, I'm very interested to see the performance of that. That being said, so much respect for the Japan Olympic Association and for the Indian Olympic Association and for the IOC for actually conducting the Olympics through this, the tough times that we go through. And I pray that every athlete and every person involved with the Olympics stays COVID-free, stays healthy, stays out of any risk or danger. As we all know, that all the athletes and everyone in the Olympics is going to be under some risk. But I pray that everyone stays healthy. And in that, I also wish our Indian contingent the utmost of success. We are all with you. You've got 1.3+ billion people praying and supporting and giving you the energy force and the wind within your wings to come back with medals. And to all our athletes out there, good luck, bon voyage, and come back with your head held high, because you're an Olympic athlete. Some of us are lucky to be Olympic medal winners, but for everyone participating for the blue, for India, I have so much respect for you. God bless all of you and good luck.
You played with your heart and you speak from your heart as well. It's lovely listening to you, and I wish I could go on, but we do have a time constraint. And I felt like a kid in a candy shop. There's so much to ask the great Leander, and I think that I've done a decent job of asking what I had to ask. And before leaving, and I have to say this, at least a dozen of my friends are going to kill me if I don't say hi on their behalf. There's so many of my friends, when they knew that I was going to talk to you. Well, a big thank you from them as well, because they want to thank you. You have been a wonderful athlete, not just an athlete, you've been a great reference point. So thank you, Leander, on behalf of the week and my personal behalf, and most importantly, from an entire country, I want to say a big thank you, salute, and namaste.
Thank you so much for having you. God bless. Jai Hind.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And now on to this very special segment called Just As Great. There have been medal-winning performances for India, and there have also been performances which are just as good as the medal-winning ones, or just as great as the medal-winning ones. And those performances shine as bright as the medals do. Now, talking about it, obviously the first name that comes to my mind, to anyone's mind, would be that of the late Milkha Singh. The entire country is mourning his death. And now, the occasion was Rome Olympics 1960. Milkha had breezed into the finals after being second only to the American Otis Davis in the semi-finals. And Milkha once said that he was very comfortable when both the semi-finals and the final happened on the same day. But in Rome in 60, it was on 2 different days. He had to wait for one more day for the finals, and he was very disturbed. He was restless and reckless. The Indian manager took him out, tried to calm him down, and then came the big day. had a fantastic start and he was well and truly heading for a medal, in fact for the gold after the first 200 meters. Milkha had a doubt whether he would be able to finish the race if he sustained that momentum. That thought slowed him down a bit, which eventually resulted in him being at the 4th position. Now, 45.6 was his timing and 45.5 was the timing of the South African Malcolm Spence, who won the bronze medal. What a miss. Missing a medal, an Olympic medal, by 0.1 second. Now, it is something that still haunts the nation, but a performance that is right up there, which shines as bright as an Olympic medal.